There is someone in your life right now who is not who they appear to be. You don't suspect them. That's exactly the point. Manipulation doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come wearing a mask or carrying a warning. It comes dressed as care, dressed as loyalty, dressed as the one person who seems to understand you better than anyone else. And by the time you feel something is wrong, something small, something you can't quite name, you're already deep inside a structure someone else built for you. This video is not about obvious abusers or easy villains. Those are simple. You already know how to handle those. This is about the ones who are harder to see. The ones who make you question your own perception before you ever question theirs. Pay attention. The first sign. They make you explain yourself constantly. There is a very specific kind of exhaustion that comes from being around someone who always needs more from you. Not more affection, not more time, more justification. You say something. They tilt their head. They ask why. You explain. They ask again, differently. You explain again, in more detail. And somewhere in that exchange, something shifts. You stop being someone with a position and start being someone on trial. This is not curiosity. Curious people accept answers. What this person is doing is something colder. They are training you to defend yourself. Every time you justify your decisions, your feelings, your choices, you are implicitly accepting that those things require justification. And once you accept that, they hold the standard by which your justifications are measured. Notice the pattern. Do you leave conversations with this person feeling strangely drained? Not because anything obvious happened, but because you spent the whole time explaining who you are. That feeling is a signal. Most people mistake it for their own anxiety. It isn't. The second sign. Your discomfort becomes a negotiation. When you express discomfort to a healthy person, something happens. They hear it. They may not fully understand it, but they take it seriously. When you express discomfort to a manipulator, something else happens entirely. They reframe it. You're being too sensitive. That's not what I meant. You always do this. You're making this into something it's not. Your discomfort, the signal your nervous system sent you, the information your instincts gathered, suddenly becomes the problem. Not the thing that caused it, not the behavior. You, your reaction, your failure to interpret things correctly. This is a precise and calculated move. Because if they can make your discomfort about your perception rather than their behavior, they never have to change. They can keep doing exactly what they're doing while you work quietly on being less reactive. You will spend months, maybe years, trying to fix a sensitivity problem you never had. Understand this. The person who consistently tells you that your instincts are wrong is not trying to help you see clearly. They are trying to be the only thing you can see. The third sign. They give to collect. Generosity is the most patient form of control. Watch how they give. Not just what they give, but how. The timing, the way it's delivered, whether it comes with a story attached, whether they reference it later, casually, in moments of tension. True generosity asks for nothing. It doesn't keep a ledger. It doesn't arrive precisely when you are most vulnerable, offering exactly what you need, in a way that makes you feel chosen, special, seen. That is not generosity. That is an investment. The manipulator understands that gratitude creates obligation. that when someone gives you something at the right moment, when you are struggling, when you feel overlooked, when you needed exactly what they offered, you become bound to them in ways that are very difficult to explain and even more difficult to undo. They are not giving you something. They are buying a piece of your autonomy, and they are doing it at a price point they know you can afford to feel. Ask yourself, when was the last time they gave without it eventually surfacing in some form? Think carefully, because the answer will tell you more than they ever would. The fourth sign: they control the emotional temperature. There are people who walk into a room and the atmosphere adjusts, not because of their personality, because of what everyone else does in response to their mood. This is power, and the manipulator has learned how to weaponize it. They don't shout, they go quiet, they don't argue, they become distant. They don't threaten. They simply withdraw warmth, attention, approval. And they do it in a way that feels almost accidental, almost reasonable, almost like they're just having a hard time. And you, wanting to restore what was there before, begin to move. You soften your tone, you check in, you reach out. You become more careful, more considerate, more attuned to what might have caused the shift. And without a single explicit demand being made, you have been redirected. That is the architecture of emotional manipulation. Not force, pressure. The slow, silent adjustment of your behavior through the controlled withdrawal of their presence. And the most dangerous part is that it feels like empathy. It feels like you're being a good person, being sensitive to their mood. You are not. You are being managed. The fifth sign: they rewrite history, selectively. Memory is not as solid as you think. There are conversations you had with this person, things that were said, agreements that were made, moments that happened. And when those moments become relevant, they remember them differently, not dramatically differently, not in ways that are obviously false, just slightly off, tilted, adjusted to suit the current situation. You begin to question yourself. Was it really said that way? Were you actually the one who agreed to that? Did it happen like you remember or like they're describing? This is not confusion. This is construction. They are quietly rebuilding the shared record between you, brick by brick, in a version that places them in a more favorable position every time. And because memory is imperfect and you trust them, you allow gaps to be filled by their version rather than your own. The clearest sign of this is a specific feeling, a moment where you know what happened, and yet you find yourself almost apologizing for knowing it. When certainty about your own experience starts to feel rude, you are inside someone else's rewrite of reality. The sixth sign: they isolate you with kindness. They don't tell you to stop seeing people. They would never say that. They are not obvious. Instead, they express concern. They share observations. I just noticed that person didn't seem very supportive of you. I don't know. I got a strange feeling from them. You can do whatever you want. I just care about you. And they say this gently, without pressure, just planting something small. A seed of doubt about the people who exist outside your relationship with them. Over time, you find yourself spending less time with others. Not because anyone demanded it, because something feels slightly off about those other relationships now. A slight unease, a vague sense that maybe they weren't as good for you as you thought. The circle tightens. The one person who warned you about everyone else is now the one person left. And you did it yourself, gradually, of your own free will, guided carefully the whole time. This is not jealousy. It is not possessiveness. It is a surgical reduction of your alternatives. Because a person with many relationships, many sources of perspective, many people who know them, that person is very difficult to control. The one who has only you is not. The seventh sign, praise that functions as a leash. They tell you things about yourself. Good things. You are perceptive. You are rare. You are exactly the kind of person who understands things others miss. You hear this and something lights up. That is the exact moment they are watching for. Because what they are doing is not complimenting you. They are building a version of you, a curated identity, that is flattering enough for you to want to live inside, and dependent enough on their approval to keep you close. When they say you are rare, what they mean is, you are rare to me. When they say you are perceptive, they are laying groundwork for the next time they need you to trust their perception over your own. Flattery from a manipulator is not given freely. It is administered. The dose is calibrated. Too little and you might drift. Too much and you become confident enough to question them. They find the exact amount that keeps you warm without making you independent. When praise starts to feel like oxygen, when you notice yourself working to earn the next round of it, the praise has already become a cage. The eighth sign, they make you the author of their control. This is the most sophisticated layer. By the time this sign appears, you have already internalized their rules. You are already softening your voice before they ask. You are already preemptively managing their reactions. You are already editing yourself, watching your words, adjusting your behavior. Not because they told you to, but because you learned, through 100 small experiences, what keeps things stable. You think you are being emotionally intelligent. You think you are being considerate and self-aware. What you have actually done is take over the work of your own management, so they no longer have to do it themselves. They don't have to say, "Don't talk to me that way." You already don't. They don't have to express displeasure. You avoid the things that cause it. You have become so attuned to their preferences, so trained in what they need, that you perform their control voluntarily. This is the endpoint of sustained manipulation. Not a person who controls you. A person who has made you control yourself on their behalf, while believing the whole time that you are simply choosing to be a considerate, thoughtful human being. Ask yourself, in this relationship, who has changed more? Who has adjusted more? Who moves more carefully? The answer will tell you everything. What comes after seeing it? Recognition does not automatically mean freedom. That is the uncomfortable truth most people skip past. You can see every sign listed here. You can name the pattern with precise language. You can understand the architecture of how it was built, every layer, every mechanism, and still not leave, still not act, still find yourself in the same conversation tomorrow, explaining yourself again, managing their mood again, wondering again if your perception is the problem. Because manipulation at this level doesn't just target your behavior. It targets your belief in your own judgment. And that is not something that repairs itself simply because you've now read the correct analysis. What you are dealing with is not confusion. It is damage to the most basic function you have, the ability to trust what you observe, feel, and know without requiring someone else to confirm it. That is not a small thing. And rebuilding it is not a conversation. It is not a confrontation. It is a slow, private return to yourself. A recalibration that happens not in the moment of recognition, but in the 100 small choices after it. The people who come out the other side of this do not do it loudly. They do not announce what they have seen. They do not confront and demand. They simply begin, quietly, to trust themselves again. One decision at a time, without asking for anyone's confirmation. And the manipulator, who built their power entirely on your self-doubt, finds slowly that the ground beneath them has changed, that the mechanisms no longer work the way they used to, that something in you has gone somewhere they cannot follow. They will escalate before they retreat. Understand that now. But there is something that comes before any of this. Something most people never consider. Something that explains not just why manipulation works, but why it works on the people it targets most. Why the sharpest, most self-aware individuals are often the most vulnerable to it. That is a different conversation entirely. And it begins with understanding how people are selected.